Welcome, Capricorn, to your Pisces new moon 1 month forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. At 28 degrees, this is the seventh and final 28-degree new moon of a sequence which began last September. Incredible, but it's also right at the end of the overall zodiac. So this is going to be a complex new moon, one of opportunity, but also of transition. By the end of the video, you'll have a clearer idea of what you can expect in terms of relationships, work, finance, and also energy. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. I'm going to share with you on the screen, Capricorn, your unique event chart from a purely Capricornian perspective. Essentially, new moons are when the sun and the moon are in a conjunction. We could argue that it's even a moon cazimi. The sun, its radiant supplying to the more receptive emotional energies of the moon. But the moon also influences the sun. It's very much a combined effort. They're collaborating. But in the sign of Pisces, the moon's in a water sign. Its rulership of Cancer, a water sign, is therefore respected. So it's an opportunity for the moon to feel comfortable. But for you personally, the collective in Pisces is the third house, which is much more to do with quick communication. Our beliefs can be to do with our immediate environment, our everyday community, but most of all these days, very much to do with technology. However, the combination of the moon, the queen, and the sun, the king, together in Pisces is in the last decan, the last 10 degrees of the sign, sub-ruled by Mars. Mars is about passion, but it's also about desire, and ironically, Mars is also in residence. So you may have found recently that your desire to express yourself has gone up a notch, particularly as you can be cautious and sometimes reserved. You often lighten the mood because you've got such a brilliant sense of humor. But even that has perhaps been tested a bit because Mercury, the planet of quick communication, has been in retrograde since the end of February, but also in a sign in Pisces where it's not at all comfortable because Mercury likes precision. It likes things to be cool and detached. The water energy of Pisces can erode that. So if you have found that there's been some cross wires, some complications over some short journeys, a mode of transport, maybe an email exchange didn't quite go to plan, a date was cancelled last minute, it's all pretty standard Mercury retrograde fare. But for me, Mercury in Pisces is a detriment which, although it does and can have qualities, when it is retrograde here, it can be tricky. But what we've got with Mars, a planet you have a great appreciation for because he's exalted in Capricorn, but in Pisces, he can't quite get the speed of action going as he can in your zodiac sign, where he's very authoritative. But here we have to get a mix between instinct, the Pisces energy, but also that the third house is about those quick fire communications. But what's terrific is that Jupiter, the planet of fortune, when he moved into your sector of relationships last June, he was immediately conflicted by your ruler Saturn in a very emotional part of your scope. And whether it was to do with things at home, demands of people close to you, older, younger, practical issues, it may have been more challenging to connect to anyone new at that time. Now, later in the year, Saturn and Jupiter started to collaborate quite well, but then Jupiter has been in a retrograde for the last 4 months. So that relationship sector hasn't really had the ray of joy that Jupiter visiting once every 11, 12 or 13 years could do. But you're going to get some uplift on this event because the connection between Mars and Jupiter is stunning. If you can be in touch with the more instinctive side of your feelings, but then communicate what you want to say with passion and conviction, but also a great deal of knowledge, people will find what you have to say very compelling. There's also a spark of excitement that comes from Uranus, Over the last 7 years, there may have been times when your love life or your creative output has been a bit up and down. Dare I say, even erratic? Not necessarily you, maybe the people you encountered. But the link of Uranus to the sun and the moon is fantastic. It's perfect, a sextile. So ideas you've got, but particularly ideas that are unique, innovative, cutting edge, foresighted, fun even, can really gain traction over this next month. We also have Saturn, your ruler, newly back in the sign of Aries, where it will return to on the 12th of February. And the sun, when it goes through the transition and we start the new year with the vernal equinox, is going to combine with Saturn in about a week's time. And that could be a bit of a pinch point around a home emotional matter. But just know that Neptune, that's also in that fourth house, is just drifting into impact on this event in a disassociate way by just a couple of degrees. So I think if you're a bit uncertain about your ideas, you may have to just bear that in mind, that if you're not quite ready to really go for it, then just give yourself a bit more space. But if you're wanting to sort out home or a practical issue, Saturn's link to Pluto is very strong over the next month. There's a lot to like about this event chart, to be honest. However, Venus, the planet of relating, but also money, but sometimes it's missed that Venus is very much about aesthetics and style. That's in the fourth house, and it's linking beautifully to Jupiter. If you have a meet-up with someone over the next 4 weeks who you feel very comfortable with, you could end up being very exuberant with one another, even treat yourself to something a little bit sort of lush, a lovely meal, stay away, city break, something like that. But equally, if you're in a loving home relationship, whether it's with a family member or a partner, Venus here could see you perhaps do some redecoration. But your ideas, how you think about things, because you are a sign that, takes responsibility seriously, you move in a patient, progressive, steady way towards goals. And there is an opportunity with this event to actually start going a lot quicker, which could be exhilarating. But you do need to make sure that it all feels right. That's that Piscean energy. So think before you speak, essentially. Because of the transition, there may be something around a very close relationship, maybe with a sibling, which is the third house, maybe with someone in your community, a neighbor, that you could become much more accustomed to what they're about. You may be a little bit cautious about them to begin with, but there may be something about them that can be very good for you. So to recap, Capricorn, when it comes to what this new moon is about, I think it gives you a great chance to express yourself with conviction as long as you tune into your feelings. You can also start to move quicker. The third house can be about quick, short movements. So if you're wanting to get active, that's good. If there have been frustrations with technology, misunderstandings, they can be cleared up quite soon. If you're open to new ideas, those can start to rattle along at pace as well. There is the potential to link to someone, perhaps even romantically, with Mars flirting in the third house. Mars can, of course, be about desire. Mars can also be about the thrill of the chase. Third house, text message, chatting someone up, Jupiter, planet of fortune in your sector of relating. So I think relationships look promising as long as the emotional dynamic is working. When it comes to a professional situation, your ideas need to be heard. If they're not heard, as soon as we have the vernal equinox, it could make you feel a bit oppressed if someone's not really listening and giving your brilliance due consideration. When it comes to your energy, I think your emotional world is quite tender at the moment. So if there are people around you who are not very well or you're having to provide support for, that's going to be a major part of your consideration. But it can feed into your own energy and welfare too. But if you are wanting to make some functional changes at home, Pluto and Saturn very good, and Venus more decoratively. It's been a pleasure being with you, Capricorn. If you'd like to get your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, I've written these for a very long time. It gives you an opportunity to have a cosmic pit stop early in the day. Please see below for more. Please click on the screen for the Jupiter Direct video. for Mars in Pisces video. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, please see below. If you'd like to get your personal horoscopes, brilliant value, very accurate, totally unique for who they're produced for. The Life Roadmap gives you Syrian insights, or gives us Syrian insights into the patterns that we've had in our life, the forecast, the information of when to time our moves. And there's 50% off if you apply Astro 26 at the checkout, or if you want the Draconic Soul Karmic version, please apply Draco 26 at the checkout. All the best and goodbye.